Okay guys, so I just got a bunch of new lights from Auxbeam. These are two of their newest lights they've come out with. They sent me some of these, and these are going on the back rack of Frankenstein. So I guess we'll go with these ones first. These are a single row LED light bar. Now these are a little different because they have two colors. You got a normal white light for, you know, like a light bar normally is, and then they have an amber setting that if you add power to that wire, the light turns amber. And I'll give you a view of that. Pretty cool. They've actually got this so in green, so you can have a green glow if you're into that. I know a guy I watch on YouTube, he's into green, so he might like those. You got their name there, and that actually lights up with the amber. So they look like really nice lights, like always from Auxbeam. They come with some mounting tabs here. What I like about these is they keep the light nice and tight against your mounting surface. So if you do need to light up higher, you might have to do something, but I really like these mounts. Keeps the light nice and tight to your mounting surface. It comes with bolts and everything to mount it up. Next light here is one of their pod lights. One of the new pod lights. You can see it's a triple row there. Now that's not so unique. The unique part is this side part here. They've got a reflector there, and that's going to shoot light off to one side. There's also, you can see there's a double row of LEDs in there. So this is going to shoot light straight out and off to the side. So I've got an idea how to use these to maximize the light that they're going to throw out. Again, it comes with a mounting deal here. It's aluminum, very lightweight, and then you're going to have a tool here to install your bolts, and then various bolts, washers, lock washers to actually bolt this light up to something. So those are the new lights I got, guys. Like I said, they're going on Frankenstein's back rack. Pretty excited to show these off on there. So let's get started with the install. Okay, so the first thing when you're installing some lights, you got to get them mounted. You got to know where they're going so you can run your wires. I've got all mine hooked up there. You can see I got the 12-inch light bars on each side of my strobe. That's the old strobe that was on the dually. And it's getting a little old, but you know what? I have it. So I'm going to run that for now. You can see the smaller lights I got on the side of the rack. One on each side. And I've got the side reflector facing backwards. I don't think you'd want to have it over here because it would probably shine in my mirror and cause me all kinds of trouble. So we got that facing backwards. This groove in this back rack made installing these lights super easy, just like I thought it would. Really awesome feature. I love that feature. One of the biggest reasons I picked up that back rack was that feature there. So an 8mm bolt fits right in this slot and fits perfectly. So I did have to modify the mounts for these lights. I had to grind a little bit of the aluminum off the mount to make it work with the track in this rack. Also, I made some little rubber gaskets just to keep it from scratching the powder coat on the rack. So for my strobe in the middle there, what I had to use, I had to make my own bracket, but I used an old light mount that I had from a previous light bar that I didn't use. I just welded a piece of flat stock on it, drilled some holes, and I got an awesome mount for that. So Everything worked out really well. I'm really happy with this setup here. So now what I call the hard part is getting everything wired up. It's not really that hard, just time consuming, running wires and figuring out, you know, what I'm doing. I'm planning on turning these into strobes because they have the amber light inside them. I think I got an idea how to get that to work. So if I get it to work, I'll show you what I did. But yep, I gotta probably run to the store, get some supplies for my wiring, and I'll show you what I do. Okay, so I got the wiring harness here from the dually when I had the back rack on him. Just kind of cleaning it up right now. It was a bunch of separate wires, but I'm going to put it in one loom. I'm going to run it back. Should have all the wires I need. I'm going to use this plug here. It's like a camper plug. This will go to the back rack. If I take the back rack off, I'll just unplug it and this will go with the back rack. It's got plenty enough wires here. And I've got my relay here I'm going to use. And I'll explain that later on. I also got my little strobe controller here that will strobe the lights alternately. I'll show you that later too. And then I got a switch here that came with, I believe, the light bar. I'll just use it to activate all my strobes. So that's what I got right now. I'm going to keep going here until I get everything wired up, I guess. Okay, so I'm getting my rack wired up, and this harness is becoming pretty extensive here to be able to do everything I want to do with all these lights. I'm trying to keep it clean and routed nicely. I'm not going to be able to hide all the wires because of the design of this rack. Wish they would have made like a channel or something for lights or something, but I'll get loom on all these wires and it'll be hard to see, but I'll kind of wire tie them up in the corner. Like I said, you're going to be able to see them, but I'm going to try to keep it nice and clean. That wiring harness that I showed on the ground that I was cleaning up, I already ran it down the frame and up into the truck here. And there's the loom right there, and it goes into the truck, same place that the plow wiring goes through. There's a deal there with a rubber gasket. I slid a hole in it and it goes into the cab. So that's where I usually run all my wires through. So we're getting there. I gotta clean this up, and then I gotta figure out my harness for inside the truck to actually control all these lights. Okay, so I got my harness for the cab laid out here. I'm going to try to explain it to you where you can understand it. I'm using 2 relays for this setup so when I turn my light bars on up there, that a whole bunch of power isn't going through this switch. Now if I was just running the strobes, I wouldn't worry about it, and I just run the power through the switch because they're LED and they don't draw a whole lot of power. But when the light comes on, the white light, I don't want to draw all that power through the switch, so I'm using 2 relays. Okay, so I got power here that's going to power this switch. When I turn this switch on, it's going to send power to this first relay, which is going to activate it and send power to the second relay. This first relay is going to get power from the battery. That's where all the power is just going to run through these relays. It's not going to run through any switches. So when it sends power to the second relay, this relay here is going to go, the power is going to flow through it and then out this wire here, and the strobes It's going to activate the strobe module, and this is going to strobe the amber light on those Auxbeam light bars. So I want dual function out of these light bars. So when I go into reverse, the reverse wire is going to come in here. It's going to activate the second relay. That's going to send power from this red wire going to the strobe module to this wire here, that is going to go and power the wire and turn on the white light of the light bars. It'll shut off the amber. Now I had to do this because the amber on these light bars is dominant. What that means is if you add wire or power to both wires, the amber is going to stay on. The white light's never going to come on. So you have to shut the power off to the amber wire for the white lights to turn on. So hopefully I didn't confuse anybody on this. I'm sure there's some really good videos on relays and everything and how they work. This is kind of how I did this. This is you know, probably not as clean as some people out there, but it's gonna work. It ain't gonna burn anything down. For the side lights, I haven't quite figured out what I'm doing with them. I'm kind of wanting to go with the cargo lamp switch to turn them on, but I think it's reverse grounded, so that's probably not going to work out. I'm probably just going to set up a switch in the cab just to be able to turn them on when I want. Okay, so we got everything wired up, everything loomed up and zip tied out of the way, everything plugged in, all the relays done. So let's see what the results are. Okay, so when I turn the switch on, all my strobes are going to come on the top. Then when I go into reverse, the white lights, the light bars are going to come on, and the strobe in the middle will stay on. It's going to be hard to see that with those white lights, but it will stay on. One thing to note with this setup is that the light bars are only going to come on if I have the strobes on, which is probably a good thing. I don't need those light bars to come on when you're backing out of Walmart. So they'll only come on when the strobes are on. I mean, you could set it up where you could have it on all the time, or a switch or whatever, and I might put them on a switch. Okay, these side lights are perfect, I think. 18 watt. They're not so bright that the guy in the next county is going to see you, but they really light up the area. I'm going to really enjoy having this side light. Really helps to see all the obstacles, especially when you're plowing but doing a lot of backing up and stuff. So for power, I just went under the hood, under the electrical center. There's a terminal there that's got power, so I just tapped into that. Switches I just put under my dash, just kind of an easy spot to get to there. I'd like to make a really nice switch box or something and install that, but for now that's what I got. Okay, so one thing I didn't show in the video is putting a fuse in line. Now whenever you tap into power to run lights or anything, that basic wiring is you put a fuse in the line before everything. Okay, so here's the strobes during the day. And those light bars aren't, you know, they're not super bright. They're not marketed as a strobe. They're marketed as an accent light. But I figured if I'm going to have some work lights up there, you know, let them do dual purpose. Having another amber light, especially at night, isn't going to do anything but help. The center light bar I have from the dually, it's not a super expensive bar, but it gets the job done. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next one.